Hi friends, today we have with us Siddharth Sabapati, a young sports entrepreneur. Very rare that so many sports entrepreneurs are there, but very rare that such a young entrepreneur is with us today. And we are interviewing him for the our e-magazine. Siddharth, hi, welcome to Sports Nation.
Hello, sir. Thank you for inviting me for this Zoom call. Pleasure to be here.
On behalf of Rajesh and myself and Sports Nation team, we would like to first appreciate your work in grassroots sports, basically. And not just grassroots sports, but you're also doing a lot of other things. And we want to know that. We want our viewers and a lot of youngsters want to know that and get encouraged by your achievements.
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate Shiri sir and Rajesh sir both for the initiative of Sports Nasha. I know it since a long time now. It's been around 4 years now that I know Sports Nasha and the work they have been doing. It's been tremendous. It's been a pleasure to be part of a lot of programs together also you've done, and also just in general, the passion you both have had is very contagious. So I'm very happy to be a part of this new initiative, the e-magazine, and my best wishes with you both for the same. Coming to the point about what attracted me towards sport, or towards football or organizing tournaments, was I would go back probably to the time when I was in school. When we were playing in school, so normally what we used to see was there was a lot of unstructured football tournaments, or whatever the tournaments or leagues that used to happen was, we never knew when the selection process used to happen, what used to be like, where tournaments used to happen, because there was no sort of information being passed on. Technology was still in a very nascent stage. Things are not that developed. So for us, we were just learning about where tournaments were happening, what was happening, whatever we could play, we played. At normal Maidans in Vile Parle or Andheri or wherever we could play, whatever matches we kept playing. In 11th standard, rather in 12th standard, one of my colleagues, Megan, and a few other colleagues of mine, Rugved, Sunit, and I just had a word with them, and I just told them that we should do something structured, because we are just playing randomly. Nobody really knows that we play football. It's not recognized anywhere. Our parents are not that supportive of us going out and playing. Nobody really takes us seriously. So my intention about starting a league was first to ensure that people start taking us seriously. So obviously, we thought of a small format, franchisee-based format, because IPL, was just started at that year, and we thought probably we'll do something similar, but we don't even want to copy the format exactly. So we made our own changes. We tweaked the format a little bit, and we started a league called Vile Parle Premier League, and you also were a part of it from the fifth year. Sorry, rather the sixth year, the seventh year rather. And when we started it in the first year, we felt it was really nice. The whole ambience, and people started to come to watch the games, and that gave us an idea. We could take this further and further every year. We could call in better players. We could call in better referees. We could organize it better and better every year. And to be honest, sir, that at that time there weren't much tournaments that were happening in an organized manner. If you talk about at the youth level, at the under 20 or the under 18 level. So basically, as I said, it was a demand or a need that we felt that was not there. People were requesting for something that was organized. One of our coaches, Prasad Paranjpe, used to organize a Headgear League. That was all about the tournament that was being played in Vile Parle, along other than Parle also. So there were only 2 or 3 tournaments that was maximum being played. So for us, we wanted to do something organized, and we used to watch football at that time. So honestly, it was the time when they started to telecast football regularly on channels also, because I think till 2005 or 6 it was more about cricket on TV, but then I think Star Sports and other broadcasting channels started to show other football leagues. Then the World Cup and the Euros only. So they started to show the Premier League and the La Liga and everything. So obviously that was very attractive for all of us at that age, and all of this resulted in us creating a league, organizing something, and me getting into organizing as such. I still loved to play when I was in college, but as I was organizing, I started to feel a little bit of more satisfaction while organizing. I felt I was contributing more to the sport, and all of this realization set in, obviously not in the very first year, but as I progressed with the league, maybe in the third or the fourth year, I started to realize the impact which the league started to create among all those who wanted to pursue football, or take up football as a career, or even those who played football just for passion or for recreation. I mean, the first year it was on a very shoestring budget. I mean, it was not that uh, expensive. We had owners putting in money, we had players putting the registration fee. So we made a loss of 1,000 rupees, to be honest, in the first year. But all of us pulled in 200 rupees together, and we kind of took the loss on our back, and we ended up. So we were just actually pursuing CPT at that time. I was in Dev sir's class, and we were just figuring out things. But obviously, next year, yeah, we had a loss. When we took it to a larger scale at Dubashi ground, and we tried to make it a little bit more larger. We called in, people. So at that time, it was a little tough. Obviously, we didn't want to have any sort of political backing, so I had no option but to ask my father for some help, and he kind of supported me in the second, third, and fourth year, to be honest. And then from the fifth year onwards, we started to make it profits. So to be honest, it was a good lesson for us on how leagues are run technically. It takes time, that whole model, to break even and then, get into a profit mold. So second, third, and fourth year was we kept investing. And, by the end of the third year, to be honest, many people started to get convinced by the project. So all of them used to come and tell me that, don't worry, if it's making a loss in the third or the fourth year, it's going to make a loss, profit in the fifth year. Because it is just growing year on year, the whole league, and the owners and the stakeholders are increasing, and every year we saw that revenue was increasing, obviously, but the costs to run a league, because we had a stand being built, we had seating area, we had ensured the best referees had come in, so there was a lot of cost also, because there's trophies, prize money, and a lot of cost gets into organizing a tournament, permission for the ground, and all of those things. So it was tough. Obviously, we had a backing at that time. Obviously, we went to even the local MLA at that time, Krishna Hegde, Sagar, and all the other people, and we also took help from them. But obviously, from a point of view of the league, we kept it as political as possible. And I would be thanking my father for all the support he did. I never expected him to come out and support, because in the first year, I still remember he was like, why are you doing all this league and all? You should focus on studies and everything, because none of them actually my age or at that time sport management or sports organizing, or even, for example, even sports nasha or nothing really existed at that time that kind of promoted sport. It was more educational and more kind of cultural music, and all of those things were at the forefront. So for me, I was lucky that I got that support. And then as friends also, we were always backing each other. So also Sunit's father also supported 1 year. So all of them, every year somebody was there to support. It was never that we were left to cut and dry and nobody really supported us. So that way, I would say we were lucky enough to have that support. So actually, before I just say that, I will just say that we did the league, and then we replicated the league for the association also in a different format. We did for them as well, and we also created another Sunday league as well. So fortunately, we could create multiple leagues even after the league kind of didn't run after the seventh year. We could keep going with what we wanted to. Coming back to your question, sir, so we had under 14, under 16, under 20 in the men's category, then in women's category, the open age category. Around 74 teams had participated in the seventh year, out of which 20 teams, which were the under 20 teams, were owned by owners, and 50 teams were just pay and play. You just put in the entry fee and you get to play a minimum amount of matches. If you end up winning, then you of course get a cash prize, trophy, and all of those other things. The idea behind was to create a festival. Food sport for me, and I've always been telling it vehemently many times, is the fact that it has to involve the community together. It has to bring about a change in the community. Only playing a sport or only creating a platform really won't create any sort of impact. So what we wanted was, we wanted parents to come in, watch their children play. We wanted grandparents to come in, their friends to come in. They should bond over the sport of football. That's what I really wanted to create. After the fourth or the fifth year, we were very, very confident about our vision. In the sixth and the seventh year, that we wanted crowd, we wanted people to come in, enjoy. And then we started to see that, to be honest, in the seventh year, we saw when so many teams were participating, everybody really waited because there were stands to sit. They could enjoy a cup of coffee or, get something from the nearby store and, eat popcorn or whatever. And they were enjoying. It was like a small mini IPL for them. Many couldn't maybe afford a ticket to Wankhede or maybe a Andheri Sports Complex to watch an ISL. Could end up watching here because it was close by to their home. So we had people from Gujarat Society nearby. Also, people coming from far and wide, to be honest, Vasai, Virar, Kandivali, even some players from Nagpur. And also, it was crazy. We did it. And for us, it was a pure community festival. Our intention was never to make it into an ISL type of a league or make it into a next level league. We just wanted the community to come enjoy, and they bonded over other sports. Maybe football we thought had its time at that time, and still a lot of players actually keep contacting me, and they keep reminiscing the times, because to be honest, it was in this timeline only that we are now having this conversation. The league used to get played in May, around May 16 to around May 27, 28 used to be normally the timeline the league used to get conducted. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of players who came in from far and wide. Actually, not just the name was Ville Parle, but we had players from outside too. Every team had to compulsorily have 3 Parla-based players. So that's why it was like a homegrown player, like how any league is, where you have 4 or 5 foreign players you can play. So here we had three. You could have 4 or 5 players from outside of Parla, but you had to add 3 minimum players. It was a 7v7 format instead of the traditional 11-a-side format. 90-minute game, we had cut short it to a 40-minute quick fire kind of a football 7-a-side. Obviously, many players, again, it's their complete talent. We had nothing to do with, nurturing their talent, or, we didn't provide them an academy sort of an atmosphere. What we did was we just gave them a platform to play and enjoy, and they loved it. So one of the players who was there from our league, Rainier Fernandez, he ended up playing for the national team. He played for Mohun Bagan. He's now representing Mumbai City. They won the Indian Super League last time. So obviously, we had nothing to do with in terms of what he became as a player, because that is his whole hard work and the amount of hard work he put. But what happened was, when you have somebody from Parla ending up and rubbing shoulders with someone who's played international football, it's like, if you can imagine in cricket, it's like, today is a Virat Kohli, playing at the league, and tomorrow you're rubbing shoulders with him, and you could say to your kids or someone that I played alongside him. So you had a lot of Parla players who still have this happiness that they could play alongside him for 3 years, 4 years, and there are some players who played the I League, some players are playing in the ISL, and all of them still think that they could at least understand where their talent is. Normally we play in our building or society and we think, okay, we are the best, we have great talent and all this, but this was real. This was a complete assessment of where they are. It was more like a scholarship exam for them to understand, is this where I belong? Am I really good when it comes to playing at the top level? And to be honest, at that time, I couldn't see anyone from Parla or Andheri, traveling to a Churchgate to play football and, coming out of their, comfort zones. But the league really made them come out of their comfort zones, because they really had no other option. It was only Dubashi, they could come and play. They started to push themselves. I saw a lot of players actually going to gym and, hiring trainers and all of those things to ensure that they are fit for the league. So every April or May, we used to see a lot of young children, age 17, 18. I call them young. Actually, I was their age only at that time. But, 19, 20, they started to really work hard. And, they started to devote their time instead of other, you could say, uh, activities which was futile. They started to really devote their time to being fit, devote their time to, they know they had to, fight it out against a player like Rainier or like Prince or Sohail Khatri, all these kind of top players. They knew they had to be at the top of their game. So we could see literally in April, people used to hit the gym, used to start eating good food, right diet, and all of those things. And they say, "And मला PPL साठी fit राहायचंय. There is no other way that I can't afford to be slack." So that was a very good feeling for us also. Sure. So I had done my sports management from a college in Leipzig in Germany. It was called the ITK Leipzig.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to get in. I got in on a scholarship through the German consulate. I would like to thank actually Brudula Thatte, my teacher, my German teacher, and a person called Matthias Thaler. They were really, really instrumental in me getting that scholarship. So obviously, when my intention was always to go there, understand, and come back. So I never had an intention of actually working there. I don't know why, but I always felt that I had some unfinished business here. I wanted to do something here because I had done the league and I could see the results. So I always thought that I could have a more of an impact in India, because I was working more of in football. So I didn't really expect the Bundesliga or the German people to hire someone from India for football. So for me, I thought I'll improve something here, and maybe if time comes, I'll go there back again to learn. So for me, when I went there, it was a great experience per se, because one, uh, from each country there was one person. So I was from India. There was people from Argentina, Brazil. So it was one person for each country from Africa. So all the developing nations were there. So a lot of culture influences I could learn about, how the sport is played there, what kind of a structure is there, how do they perceive sport, how do they perceive India when it comes to any sport. So I had a very interesting thing where we had the president of IAAF, which is the Athletics Federation. He had come to teach us a lesson at that time, and he looked at me and he asked me, "Which country do you belong to?" And I said, "India." And he said, PT Usha is from that country, and that's all that you have in athletics. There's no one else other than that who's really reached that stage. It's astounding that a country with such a big population is unable to get medals at the large scale. And at the time I really felt bad, but I felt that's what the perception is. He's at the top level, and obviously I would again not quote this anywhere. I would say not quote it anywhere, because again he's a big personality, and maybe he would have told it at that point of time. But I felt when he said that, he smirked and he laughed, and he obviously didn't mean it very directly at me, but it was kind of a jibe at me in terms of, you have such a big population. He said, "You guys have great potential, but you need people to work hard. You need systems set in place." And, obviously, he spoke a lot more about, the games that we have organized in India and the debacle and all of those things at that time. I don't know to name which games, but yeah, I mean, he spoke about that as well. And he said that, you need more structure. So I realized that, uh, India is considered to be a very promising nation everywhere in the world. It's not that, we are wrong in understanding India as a country, as a sporting nation. So it's got a lot of promise. Only thing is we require better systems at the grassroots level. So we require more stronger systems, more better player progression, and more better identification of talent. I don't see that happening quite often. Many players get lost after school sports. There is not much of a system when it comes to college sports. If you could create something as robust as them, because also another thing I realized in another learning I would say was, every person in Germany or in Europe played sport no matter at what level. Maybe it's recreational, maybe it's professional. It didn't matter. Their age didn't really matter. So here, after a certain age, they say, you should not go out and play. Is this your age? You're now 30, you're now 40, 50, 60. This is not your age to play. This is your age to work. This is your age to do this. Playing really doesn't really create any sort of impact. But there I could see a 80-year-old playing table tennis on the weekend, at the Gymkhana there. And, it was really heartening to see, with intensity, but he was just playing recreationally. He had no hopes of, no chance of making it professionally anywhere. But that's what it was, right? Even our own professor, he was playing some 6th division football at age 45 or 46. And, looking at him, you could say that he must be getting tired in about 40 or 50 minutes, but he had that passion to work and to play and to enjoy. And I felt that culture was really good. You could see shops only for sports, which was crazy. Only for winter sports, big shop, like a literally 2-story shop. And I can't imagine that in Mumbai or in India with the rent and everything, which you only have a sport for shop. So that is what is the culture there. Unfortunately, here the culture is still in the process, and it's improved with the advent of turfs and all these infra that has come up, these small grounds and everything. But we still need everyone to play regardless of the age. Then only the consumption of sports goods, equipments, interest in sports will rise. And the problem with, I feel, in locally in India or wherever in Mumbai and everywhere is, it's often perceived that you should play sport only if you're able to make it professionally big. I don't think that should be the case.
That's the problem.
If you have talent, you go and make it professionally big. If you don't have talent, you still play it for the health part of it and fitness and making new friends and leadership and a lot of other qualities also which sport possesses. So it's far better that you end up playing and you enjoy the sport, and it keeps you like kind of in the present moment also. Your mind is also very calm when you play a sport. You're in that moment, you're enjoying, all your stress and worries are gone away. So I feel all those things should be more advertised when it comes to playing a sport. Even parents who make their children join a particular class, or anyone, they always ask this question, sir, what is the scope? Will he really reach the top? I don't think that's the right question to ask at the first go. If he's got talent, obviously he will. If he doesn't have, he will still have a good physique. He will not use his time on anything else. He'll still utilize his time building his health. And sports is a better investment than maybe a lot of other things that they often invest their time into. Maybe a PlayStation game or something. It's better to invest in playing in sports. It's a really good question, and to be honest, uh, I feel that education is given a lot of prioritization and importance, which is good. But at the same time, they should also know what they are getting into. I have often seen many parents saying, "Okay, you don't play a sport is okay. You want to get into sports management, yeah, that is education. You will get a degree at the end of it, maybe a good job and everything." But to be honest, sports management is very different than what many of them perceive it to be. And I think it's not their fault because obviously we see only sport on TV. We don't really see the men behind the scenes. We don't see what goes on beyond creating a tournament or a league or, they should actually make a show on it and actually showcase it on TV. And it will really help many kids to understand what actually happens. We see the glamour of, an IPL or an ISL or a PBL or whatever, PKL and all the other leagues that are mushrooming in India. We see those amazing lights and production design and the players coming in and the crowd cheering and all the razzmatazz and glamour. But I feel that uh, that's what is showed, and unfortunately, because that is being shown again and again, many people, it's natural to have that misconception. Even I would have had it if I had not got into sports this much. Even I felt the same when I was a 18-year-old or a 17-year-old, that sports is glamorous. I would get to meet a Chetri or a Virat Kohli. I would be dining with them, a lunch with a Ganguly or a dinner with a Dravid kind of situation. But to be honest, management colleges coming up is good. But obviously, I've also realized that even the management colleges now have understood that, they are also working hard to ensure that they give the right image of sports to the kids. Initially, they also had to rely on glamour and all of those things. But over the years, even they have realized that, this is not going to work. This is a different approach that we need to take. And even those guys have now started to ensure that they are creating their programs or courses in a more realistic manner, in a more which is more practical for the kids to know. And I always advise any kid who wants to take up sports management that you first take experience in a local event or a tournament or a local sport, understand the nuances of it, what could go wrong, what could go right. Then you really ask yourself a question: are you enjoying doing this? If you're enjoying doing this, and then you start realizing, okay, this is what I want to do, and then you start asking, what am I good in this? Whether I'm good in getting sponsorship for this, whether I'm good in organizing, whether I'm good in broadcasting, whether I'm good in commentating, what is my core expertise area? And then accordingly, you could do a course in it, or you could look for more exposure or more experience. And there are a lot of new companies that are coming up that are helping kids get jobs into sports without having a sports management degree as a requisite also. And then they can once they are sure of it, they can go and pursue sports. Even sir, to be honest, for those who want to go and do it abroad, I would say first, they should gain experience here at come what cost, because spending that amount of investment going abroad, taking that risk is too risky without even experiencing what it is. Imagine those who are studying for a say engineering or something. They have been doing maths and they have been doing you know learning science from their first standard till 10th till 12th, and then they say, okay, I like. But imagine sports, it's just like, I watch it on TV, now I want to do sports management. Whereas the experience, they're not, it's the same science, same logic. You need to gain experience, you need to know the nuances. You can do these basic courses, or you could ask someone who's done sports management, gain some experience, maybe work under him. And again, one more thing is, many say, okay, go and follow your passion and go and follow this and everything. But sports is not evolved that much. So if you're really, really in it and you really have the hunger and desire, then only you're going to succeed. So it's not that, it's good, it's easy to get into sport. Not just sport, there are many other uh, non-conventional fields like sport, like music, art, and drama, and all of those things. It's very similar sport. We are having a demand of 5%, and the supply is of 100% or 95% supply. So there is a big difference in the demand and supply for sports management. So you really have to be good at it. You really have to be passionate. You really have to be patient. You have to play the waiting game. There is no option. You can't just get into sport. Many people ask me, I've invested XYZ amount. Can I get 2x the amount or 3x the amount when I join a job? What is the salary I get? And I say it's only 10,000 a month, or 50 a lakh a year or something. And then they are startled to know that that's it. That's what I'm going to get. I thought I'll be getting a big pay package and all of those things. So you have to be patient, and have to play the waiting game. And it can also happen that you may never even reach the top. You will probably end up somewhere, but you always have that satisfaction of if really you are passionate about sports, at the end you will have a satisfaction of what I did. I enjoyed. I could have maybe worked at a bank, but maybe I would not have enjoyed. But I earned lesser than what I would earn at a bank. But I'm happy that I followed what I did, and I could create an impact. That satisfaction is worth a lot of money.
Great.
So that's what parents
Great.
should also, or kids should also realize. Sure. So, Vilepale Premier League, as we culminated it in the 7th year, at the same time, simultaneously, we had started our academy for football. I'll come to that, but obviously, alongside the academy, we started our own football club. We worked with a pro volleyball league franchise called Ahmedabad Defenders. We did their end-to-end operations marketing. That was my first ever experience on an elite level. I would say more of a broadcast level sport tournament or a league. So it was a great experience for me to know about how a league happens and what exactly goes into something when it's getting broadcasted. So there are a lot of SOPs which are very different to grassroots sports. You have to ensure the team's on time. You have to ensure your correct set of requirements are met when it comes to your jersey design, color, and all of those things. So we kept doing a lot of things. We also did a Universal Sports Forum alongside Sports Nasha, where we had invited a lot of guests who were experts in sports in different fields, and we had a small membership that we had charged every member, and kind of a forum, and that was exciting as well. So we did a lot of programs to kind of ensure that we build a sporting culture, and it was in different sectors altogether. So pro volleyball league was volleyball. It was not just football that we focused on. So as we progressed, we started to get into other sports as well. We also worked with the Mumbai Football Association to create their own youth league or their youth football league, which was there. So basically, we created similar to what you could say BPPL was, but it was a little different in terms of our execution. We didn't have owners and all. We had just the teams registering, but we had a good structure that we had created for them. We also did a Sunday league, which was sponsored by IDBI Federal Life. So even that was a tournament which we organized. And alongside, obviously, we built our academies. We have around 9 academies now in Mumbai. We recently started our own football turf in Borivali, a small 7-a-side ground in Borivali West at Link Road. So we've invested a bit into infra. We have invested our time into creating tournaments, leagues. But as I said, our whole focus is creating a system or a structure, working closely with associations, working closely with the stakeholders of the sport, to see whatever we can create to ensure that players get a lot of matches in a year, regardless of the sport. So obviously right now it's been football and volleyball, but obviously I think as we progress we may get into other sports as well. But right now our you could say capacity or our ability right now, we just have the bandwidth for football and volleyball. But as we progress also. So, I would say, firstly, I would not compare between the both sports because both have a very different history in India, and the growth of the sports also has a very different trajectory. So when it comes to cricket, obviously we won the World Cup in '83, we won it again in 2011. So the whole trajectory of cricket is very different to the trajectory of football. So comparatively, I can't compare, but I would say football's had a better growth over the last decade or so, with the advent of new leagues, new teams, and all of those things. But we're still far off from even qualifying for a World Cup or reaching the top 30 or the 40 in the world. It's going to take time. It's only going to come in if more and more players end up playing the sport, more and more players pursue the sport. Again, there should be more clubs coming in. Football also has to be sustainable in its nature. Again, right now many players who play aren't really paid well, when it comes to an I-League second division or an I-League. ISL, still the payment is really good, the remuneration bit is very good, but it has to be sustainable. So if it's sustainable, many parents would start backing their children to pursue the sport, because there is a lot of investment which goes into becoming a player, diet and nutrition and physiotherapy and injuries and all of those things. So you have to invest a lot, training, equipment. So obviously, when you're investing so much, you also expect some sort of a return at the end of it when you become a player. So unfortunately, right now, India has only got around 11 clubs for a population so huge. So I think if the clubs keep increasing, I mean, there are more clubs in the I-League though. But again, clubs have to increase. It has to become more sustainable. Mumbai requires more clubs. Maharashtra requires more clubs. And if that keeps increasing, if the talent pool keeps widening, We can see that in cricket now with the fact that they're planning two simultaneous series with India, England, and India, Sri Lanka also, which is kind of a testimony to the fact that India's talent pool has increased. And that has only happened because of the leagues and the structure and everything. So likewise in football, uh, we are still kind of evolving. So once the talent pool widens, you would see more players coming up. Unfortunately, none of the Indian players, except a female footballer called Bala Devi, she plays in a foreign league in Scotland for Rangers. Other than that, none of the footballers, are representing any foreign team right now. So once, I would want some of the footballers from India to go out, play for a few foreign clubs if that's possible, if work permits and all of those things are taken into consideration. So if that happens, then I'm sure that you will have more football developing. We've seen that happening successfully in Japan, South Korea, and all of those countries. So if they can do it, I think we can do it too. So I don't think that there is any sort of talent barrier or something like that. Even for example, to be honest, many people speak about the physique and all of those things of India. They feel they're very short and they're not stout enough and they're not strong enough and all of those things. I don't think so. We are having very good players with very good physicality, but I think the exposure part is lacking. They need to play continuous matches. We saw what with the IPL now or with the ISL also, like, when you're rubbing shoulders with the best in the country, all of a sudden your game also starts developing. You see some audacious shots and all of those things in cricket. Likewise in football also, once they start playing against the best, you would surely see a really, really good development in the footballers' growth and all of those things. So unfortunately, the talent was there, but they need more games. They need at least 30, 40 games a year. Right now, they play around 14 to 20 games, which is not enough for a professional footballer. You require minimum 30 odd games in a season, along with a proper plan, recovery plan, ensuring they follow the proper diet and all of those things. But I would say it is really looking good. Actually, to be honest, I like every sport, anything on TV, which is quick, fast, pacey. I like it, to be honest. But I like Test cricket and everything else too. But I mean, except maybe golf, because I don't really quite understand it much. I would tried understanding it, but it's becoming a little tough for me. But other than that, volleyball, football, hockey, any sport, I like. I like to watch it. Tennis as well to a certain extent, badminton as well. Yeah, any sport is I like it. So I don't have any first love or something, but yeah, I mean, football. To be honest, I'm working in it, so I kind of understand it even more better. But yeah, I mean, I can watch a 5-day test match at ease. I don't have any problem with it. So actually, to be honest, I mean, I support Chelsea and I support also Dortmund in Bundesliga, but I have tried to make it a point that I actually advocate strongly people to support Indian clubs. It's difficult, but I would say, when it comes to an Indian club, I'm supporting Mumbai City FC and Jamshedpur FC both. But I want actually people to come up supporting Indian clubs because I think that's the future. If Indian sports wants to grow, and Star Sports had come up with a very, very innovative campaign which said "Fan Banna Padega," which I think is required for Indian sports. So I would say to your question, I'm supporting Mumbai City and Jamshedpur, and my favorite player right now is uh, a player from the national team only. So I am a huge fan of a player called Manbir Singh. He's actually playing really well for the national team, and he's I mean, he didn't have a great start, but now he's really picked up in the last year or so. So he's my favorite player, and I also obviously support Mumbai-based players like Rainier and everyone else as well. So that way, I'm going vocal for local here. So supporting everyone. Favorite cricketer, I would say Ravichandran Ashwin right now in the current era. I kind of followed him right from his day one in the IPL to now. So I kind of feel that I am part of his growth also, like watching him as a player that he's developed and the number of wickets he's picked up. In the era before me, like, during my childhood, I would say probably like Sachin and Dravid both were really, really great. And so many great players, but India, yeah, these are the players. And when it comes to foreign players, I could say I like Kumar Sangakkara a lot. I feel he was very classy left-hander, and that World Cup in 2015 was like really prolific, where he got those hundreds, like back-to-back 400s. So that was crazy. Yeah, I mean, these are some players I like.
Yes, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Siddharth. It was a wonderful session. And I'm sure it's not over in one session. We would have to come back to you maybe after a few months, and so many things to share with you. We have all enjoyed, Siddharth, and really learned few things. I wish that I was of your age to learn many things from you as a sports lover. And thank you very much for sharing your views.
Thank you, sir.
We hope to meet you again.
Sure.
And, would you like to say something to conclude?
Obviously, I would say, first of all, thank you so much for this wonderful initiative. I would like to congratulate the whole team of Sports Nasha once again. And, we need people to come together and support each other,
Yes.
even so more now because of the pandemic and everything. So it's all the more important that we back each other.
Yes.
And I know it's going to be a tough ride for all of us, but if we are together, the ride is going to be less bumpy.
Correct.
That's all.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.